Hello everyone! So it's been a while since I've done any of these Codex readings, so let's do a couple more before these start getting too out of control. Let's start with creatures. Then, pretty sure I've done archdemons, so bear. No beast is more beloved by Dithrim? Why am I having troubles with that? Dithrim than the bear. When the world was new, Ditherman gave one secret to each creature to keep. The foxes traded their secrets to Androl for wings. Wait, the foxes got wings? What? Okay. The hares shouted theirs to the treetops. Bears sold theirs for gold and silver. Only the birds sold theirs for gold and silver. Only the bears kept Ditherman's gift deep within their dens. They slept the months away in the company of their secrets and nothing else. When Detherman discovered what had been done with his gifts, he snatched the wings from the foxes, silenced the voices of the hares, and turned the birds into paupers. But the bears he honored for their steadfastness. Transcribed from a Dalish tale, 9-8 Dragon. Wait, what did the... Shadow stuff. Oh, okay. Normally it is almost unheard of for bears to attack travelers. They are in fact so shy and so inactive during the day that most people never encounter a bear at all. However, should a bear be provoked, they are remarkably dangerous. The normally placid-seeming creatures become enraged and can strike massive blows with their paws, capable of knocking a man off his feet. Sounds about right for real-life bears. Corpse, because nobody knows what those are. To anyone who doubts the wickedness of blood magic, I say, with your own hands, strike down the corpses of your own brothers who have fallen in battle to a Maleficer, then we may discuss morality. Knight Commander Benedictus, in a letter to Divine 546, exalted. The walking dead are not, as the superstitions are wont to believe? The living come back for revenge. They are rather corpses possessed by demons. A shambling corpse is controlled by a demon or sloth, causes its enemies to become weak and fatigued. Corpses possessed by rage demons go berserk and simply wade into their opponents mindlessly. Devouring corpses are held by hunger demons and feed upon the living. The more powerful demons rarely dying? Can't read that against the background. Dying to possess a dead host. Okay. Revenant. An entire unit of men all slain by one creature. I didn't believe it at first, your perfection, but it appears that this is so. We have a survivor, and while at first I thought his rantings pure exaggerations, it appears to be no simple skeleton. Descriptions of the creature's abilities were eerily similar to those our brothers at Marnus Pell encountered almost a century ago. Men pulled through the air to skewer themselves on creature's blades, an attack so quick that it was able to assault multiple opponents at once. No your perfection. What we have here is indeed a revenant and nothing less. From the letters to Divine Amara 3rd, 571, exalted. A revenant is a corpse possessed by a demon of pride or of desire, making it amongst the most powerful possessed opponents the one can face. Many possess spells, but most are armed and armored, and prefer the use of their martial talents. They are weak against physical attacks, but regenerate, there we go, quickly and calmly using telekinesis to pull opponents. Okay, I have troubles over regenerate, but telekinesis, I'm good. To pull opponents into melee range should they try to flee. Revenants also have the ability to strike multiple opponents, surrounding them, stay at range if possible, and strike quickly. That is the only way to take such a creature down. Why am I having such a hard time reading against this background? I don't normally. Magic and religion. It is not common for Neophyte to mistake apostates and Maleficarium as one and the same. Indeed, the chantry has gone to great lengths over the centuries to establish that this is so. Truth, however, is that while an apostate is often a Maleficer, he need not be so. A Maleficer is a mage who enjoys forbidden knowledge such as blood magic and the summoning of demons, whereas apostate is merely any mage who does not fall under the auspices of the circle of magi, and therefore the chantry. They are hunted by the Templars, and quite often they will turn to forbidden knowledge in order to survive, but it would be a lie to say that all apostates begin that way. Oh look, You have a problem with this? Yet you're good ones creating it. Just saying. Okay. Historically, apostates become such in one of two ways. They are the mages who have escaped from the circle, or mages who were never part of it to begin with. This latter category includes what we tend to refer to as hedge mages, those with magical abilities in the hinterlands who follow a different magical tradition than our own. Some of these head mages are not even aware of their nature. Undeveloped, their abilities can express themselves in a variety of ways, which the hedge mage might attribute to faith or will or to another being entirely depending on his nature. Some of these traditions are passed down from generations to generations, as with the so-called witches of the Chansine Wilders or the shamans of the Avar barbarians. No matter how a mage has become an apostate, the Chantry treats them all alike. Templars begin a systematic hunt to bring the apostate to justice, and among almost all cases, justice is execution. If there is some overriding reason the mage should live, the right of tranquility is employed instead. Whether we of the Circle of Magic believe this system is fair is irrelevant. It is what it is. From Patterns Within Form by Halland, First Enchanter of Starkhaven, 880 Blessed. Okay. Chanter of Light and Redemption. Many are those who wander in sin, despairing that they are lost forever, but the ones who repent, who has faith, unshaken by the darkness of the world, and boasts not, nor gloats, over the misfortune of the weak, but take delight in the Maker's law and creation. She shall know the peace of the Maker of benediction, the light shall lead her safely, through the paths of this world and into the next, for she who trusts in the Maker fire is her water, as the moth sees light and goes towards flame. She should see fire and go towards light. The veil holds no uncertainty for her, and she will know no fear of death, for the Maker shall be her beacon and her shield, her foundation and her sword. From Transfigurations 10. Templars. Okay, if we haven't had... Okay. Often portrayed as stoic and grim, the Order of Templars were created as a martial arm of the Chantry, armed with the ability to dispel and resist magic in addition to the formidable combat talents. Templars are uniquely qualified to act as both a foil for the apostate mages who refuse to submit to the authority of the Circle, and a first-line defense against the dark powers of blood mages and abominations. While the... Nope, too far. While mages often resent the Templars as symbols of the Chantry's control over magic, the people of the Theodius see them as saviors and holy warriors and champions of all that is good, armed with piety enough to protect the world from ravages of foul magic. In reality, the Chantry's militant arm looks first for skilled warriors with unshakable faith in the Maker, with a flawless moral center as a secondary concern. Templars must carry out the duty with emotional distance, and the Order of Templars prefers soldiers with religious fervor, absolute loyalty over paragons of virtue who might question orders when it comes time to make difficult choices. The Templars' power derives from the substance lyrium, a mineral believed to be in the raw element of creation. While mages use lyrium in their arcane spells and rituals, Templars ingest primordial mineral to enhance their ability to resist and dispel magic. Lyrium use is regulated by the Chantry, but some Templars suffer from lyrium addiction, the effects of which include paranoia, obsession, and dementia. Templars knowingly submit themselves to this treatment in service of the Order and the Maker. It is this sense of ruthless piety that most frightens mages when they draw the Templars' attention. When the Templars are sent to eliminate a possible blood mage, there is no reasoning with them. If the Templars are prepared, the mage's magic is all but useless. Driven by their faith, the Templars are one of the most feared and respected forces in Theodius. From Powers Within Form by Halden, First Enchanter of Starkhaven, 880 Blessed. The founding of the Chantry. Cordelius Draken, king of the city-state of Orlais, was a man of uncommon ambition in the year -15 ancient? Is that how they do CE here? That's interesting. Is it CE? No, it's BC. What am I talking about? It's BC. Anyways, not the point. Where did I get CE from? I don't know. I feel disappointed in myself right now, though. The young king began construction of a great temple dedicated to the Maker and declared that by its Really? I can say telekinesis. No problem. but completion I have troubles with? Oh my gosh. He would not only have united the warring city-states of the south, he would have brought Drustian belief to the world. In -3 ancient, the Templar are God damn it. The temple was completed. There in its heart, Draken knelt before the eternal flame of Justice, and was crowned ruler of the Empire of Orlais. His first act as emperor to declare the Chantry as established Zoroastrian religion of the empire. Sorry. It took 3 years and several hundred votes before okay. For Horlesia of Mount Simard was elected to lead the new Chantry. Upon her coronation as divine, she took the name of Justinia in honor of the disciple who recorded Andraste's songs. In that moment, the ancient era ended and the divine era began. So that's like their version of the Pope, I'm guessing. Demonic possession? I swear I know how to speak. No, I don't. What am I talking about? I don't know how to speak. And that's partially the reason why I do these, is just because I am so bad at reading out loud. Like, I can read just fine. I read a lot. I'm just gonna ignore the fact that my bookshelves are overflowing. Oh my gosh, that's not proving my point right now. Overflowing, but I'm hoping that by doing these, it'll help me at least read with some common sense. Apparently not so far. Anyways, why do demons seek to possess the living? History claims that they are malevolent spirits, the first children of the Maker, angry at their creator for turning from them, and jealous of those creations he considers superior. They stare across the veil at the living and do not understand what they see, yet they know they crave it. They desire life, they pull the living across the veil when they sleep and prey on their psyche with nightmares. Whenever they can, they cross a veil into our world to possess it outright. We know that any demon will seek to possess a mage, and upon doing so will create an abomination. Most of the world does not know, however, that the strength of an abomination depends entirely on the power of that demon that possesses the mage. This is true, in fact, of all possessed creatures. One demon is not the same as any other. Demons can, for instance, be classified. Enchanter Barium's categorization of demons in that portion of the psyche they primarily prey upon has held since the Tower Age. According to Bram, the weakest and most common demons are those of rage. They are the least intelligent and most prone to violent outbursts against anything living. They expand their energies quickly, the most powerful of them exhibiting great strength and occasionally the ability to generate fire. Next are the demons of hunger. In living hosts they become cannibals and vampires, and within the dead they feed upon the living. Theirs are the power of draining, both of life force and of mana. Next are the demons of sloth. First on Bram's scale, they are capable of true intelligence. In its true form, the demon is known as Shade, a thing which is nearly indistinct and invisible, for such is the sloth's nature. It hides and stalks and unaware, and when confronted, it sows fatigue and apathy. Demons of desire are amongst the most powerful, and are the ones most likely to seek out the living, and actively trick them into a deal. These demons will exploit anything they can be coveted. Wealth, power, lust, and they will always end up getting far more than they give. A desired demon's province is that of illusions and mind control. Strongest of all demons are those of pride. These are the most powerful. I thought they said like they were the strongest, or the desired demons were the strongest. I guess not. I misunderstood. Anyways. Strongest of all demons are those of pride. These are the most feared creatures to loose upon the world. Master of magic and in possession of vast intellect, they are true schemers. It is they who seek most strongly to possess mages, and will bring other demons across the veil in numbers to achieve their own ends, although what that might be has never been discovered. A greater pride demon, brought across the veil, would threaten the entire world. From the Maker's First Children by Badar, Senior Enchanter of Oswick, 812, Blessed. Blood Mage, the Forbidden School. Foul and corrupt are you who have been taken my gift, and turned it against my children. Transfigurations, 1810. The ancient Vineyards did not originally consider blood magic as a school of its own. Rather, they saw it as a means to achieve greater power in any school of magic. The name, of course, refers to the fact that magic of this type uses life, specifically in the form of blood, instead of mana. It was common practice at one time for a magister to keep a number of slaves on hand so that should he undertake the working of a spell that was physically beyond his abilities, he could use the blood of his slaves to bolster the casting. Over time, however, Purium discovered types of spells that could only be worked by blood. Although lyrium will allow a mage to send his conscious mind into the fade, blood would allow him to find the sleeping minds of others, view their dreams, and even influence or dominate their thoughts. Just as treacherous blood magic allows the veil to be open and completely so that demons may physically pass through it into our world. The rise of the Chant of Light and the subsequent fall of the old Imperium has led blood magic to be all but stamped out, as it should be, for it possesses nearly as great a danger to those who would practice it as the world at large. From the Four Skulls, a Trustite by Force Enchanter Josephus. Now onto culture and history. Yay! In the years following the siege of Soldier's Peak, all those who carried the Dorian name were hunted by King Arlane's forces. A noble Dorian name was smeared, and all lands and holdings belonging to the Dorans were seized by the crown. The king feared that the rebellion started by Sophia would be kept alive by her loyal friends and family, and anyone with connections to the Dryans suffered greatly. It is little wonder, then, that the few remaining Dryadans found themselves with no allies and nowhere to turn. Tobrian Dryan, Sophia's brother and guardian of her young son, not their young son, that's completely different context, had no choice but to flee Ferelden. Tobin brought passage to Antivia on a merchant vessel and traveled under the name of De Rocher. Once in Antivia, Tobin set about building a new quiet life for himself and his nephew. He started a small business and eventually made a name for himself as a trader. That's not really a good way to stay hidden, dude, but okay. De Rocher merchant family prospered, and the name Dryden was almost forgotten. However, in 815 Bless, Sylvie de Rocher uncovered old documents belonging to Tobin and pieced together the family's history. In her pride, and perhaps in her naivety, Sylvia reclaimed the name Dryden and returned to Ferelden. King Arlan lies dead, and the Dryden name lives on. Our family has survived, even thrived since the death of Sophia Dryden. The nobles of Ferelden may still spit out the Dryden name, but we Drydens know that Sophia Dryden was greater than them, almost a queen and a hero of people in Ferelden. From the personal files of Levi Dryden, merchant. Who's the Drydens again? Characters? I can't see the characters are. I don't remember who that supposed to be. Oh well? Anyways. Politics of Ferelden. Oh, nope, what I wanted. To our neighbors, Ferelden seems utterly chaotic. Unlike all other monarchies, power does not descend from our throne, rather it rises from the support of the freeholders. Each freeholder chooses the band or Arl to whom it pays allegiance. Typically, the choice is based on the proximity of the freehold to the lord's castle, as it's worthless to pay for the upkeep of soldiers who will arrive at your land too late to defend it. For the most part, each generation of the freeholders casts its lot with the same ban as their father did, but things can and do change. No formal oaths are sworn, and it is not unheard of, especially in the prickly central baronin, for bands to court freeholders away from their neighbors, a practice which inevitably begets feuds that last for ages. Tyrants arose from amongst the bands, ward leaders who in antiquity had grown powerful enough to remove other bands to swear fealty to them. There were many tyrants in the days before King Galahad, but he succeeded in whittling them down to only two: Gwaran in the south and Highever in the north. These tyrants still hold the oaths of bands and Arls who they may call upon in the event of war or disaster, and similarly, the tyrants still hold responsibility for defending their sworn to them. The Arls were established by Terrans, given the command of strategic forces that could not be overseen by the Terran themselves, unlike the Terran. Wait, what? Could not be overseen by the Terrans themselves. Okay, that's different sentences. That makes way more sense. Unlike the Terrans, Arls have no bands sworn to them and are simply somewhat more prestigious bands. The king is, in essence, the most powerful of the Terrans. Although Denrir was originally a Terran of the king, Tenrir has since been reduced to an Arling, as the king domain is now all of Ferelden. But even the king's power must come from the bands. Nowhere is this the most evident than during the last meet, an annual council for which all the nobles of Ferelden gather, held for almost 3,000 years except odd interruptions during blights and invasions. The sight of a king asking for and working to win the support of lesser men is a source of constant wonder to foreign ambassadors. From Ferelden Folklore and History by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. It's a very interesting way to do it. I like that way. If it works. Guess that'd be very easy to buy people off. Anyways, the waters of Lake Galahad are steeped in legends. The Avar people say that it was once the site of Belennis, the mountain which stood at the center of the world, for which Korth of the Mountain Fathers surveyed the earth and the sky, but it was destroyed in the battle between Korth and the serpent Nathramar, leaving only a vast crater behind. When the Lady of the Skies saw that Belennis was gone, she wept, and her tears filled the crater, making the lake. Taveners believe that the waters of Lake Galahad were blessed by Rezekal, god of mysteries, and that those who drank from them were granted special insights. This was why they built their great tower on an island in the middle of the lake, hoping that the powers of the lake would aid their magical research. But most of us know the legend of King Galahad, which gave the place its name. It is said that Galahad Thurin spent a year and a day in the Tower of Magi. Each day he drew a single cup full of water from the lake and carried it to the Formeria at the top of the tower. By magic, each cup of water was forged into a single ring of mail armor of the circle gave to Galahad. In that armor, made from lifeblood of the land itself, no blade could strike him, no arrow pierce him, so long as he stood on Ferelden soil. I'm the same person as last time. That's really interesting folklore. I like it. I like that kind of story. The Relation Empire. There are many lords and ladies in Valorio. I mean this literally. Once the system of noble titles in LA were Liberthian, there were barons and baronesses and baronets and sub-barons and a horde of others, each with its own origins and its own nuisances of comparison. There were aristocracy as ancient and much given to competition. All nobility played the grand game, as it is known, whether they wish to or not. It is a game of reputations and patronage there, where moves are made with rumors and scandals is the chief weapon. No gentle game, this. More blood has been drawn as a result of the grand game than any war the nations have fought. Of this I am assured by almost every gentleman here. As far as titles went, everything changed with the coming of the Emperor Drakon, who established the Relation Empire as it exists now, and who created the Chantry. There's no more venerated figures in Orlais. At Valriu, statue of Drakon stands as tall as the statue of Andraste. Drakon determined that the grand game was tearing Orlais apart, so he abolished all titles besides his own and Lord and Lady. Okay. I'm told with some twittering amusement that this action did not end the grand game as Drakon had intended. Now the lords and ladies collected unofficial titles rather than official ones, such as the auxiliate patron of Tassus Clay or uncle to the champion Tremis. It is a headache to remember such titles, and one winces to think of the poor doorman at the balls who must rattle them off as each guest enters the room. The aristocracy is different from Ferelden in other ways as well. The Relation's right to rule stems directly from the maker. There exists neither the concept of rule by merit nor the slightest notion of rebellion. If one is not noble, one aspires to be, or at least aspires to be in good graces of a noble. and is ever watching for a way to enter the patronage of those better placed in the grand game. Then there are masks. The cosmetics. I have not seen so much paint since the kennels at Highever. But that is another story. From Beyond the Frostbacks by Ben Turek, West Hill, 920 Dragon. Okay, Redcliffe. King Galahad Theron once famously declared, "The fate of Redcliffe is the fate of all Ferelden." Certainly the castle is the first and last defense for the sole land route in Ferelden, and the country has never fallen to any force that did not first capture Redcliffe. The castle, which despite being 3 times captured, is probably described as inassailable. Also guards one of the largest and most prosperous towns in Ferelden. Redcliffe village is well situated near the mountain pass to Osmar and the Orlesian border, and so serves as a center of foreign trade. For those reasons, Redcliffe is accounted an Arling despite the smallness of the domain. The inhabitants of Redcliffe village are primarily fishermen or merchants who ship dwarven goods through the pass from Orlais to Denerim. When the entire village smells of smoked fish on a certain late autumn morning, the merchants in the finery do their utmost to pretend otherwise. From the Pursuit and Knowledge Travels a Chantry Scholar by Brother Gentifiah. Are we looking for things by this person? Or looking for that person? Whatever. Ravane. Nowhere in my travels, not in the heart of the Imperium nor the streets of Osmar, have I felt so much as an outsider as in Ravane. The chant of life never truly reached the ears of these people. The years they spent under the thumb of the Quanari left most of the country zealous followers of the Quan, but resistance to the chant goes deeper than the Quanari War. The Ravania refuse to be parted from their seers, wise women who are in fact hedge mages communicating with spirits and actually allowing themselves to become possessed. The chantry's prohibition against such magical practices violates millennia of local tradition. From the Pursuits of Knowledge Travels a Chantry Scholar by Brother Gentifiah.